So this video is going to be the all-encompassing video about numbers, guys. This is going to answer all of our questions about what the overhead is, why are tradesmen so expensive, how much money should I be charging, and if it's not ending up in my pocket, then where's all that money going to? This is your final business model for how to run a handyman business. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to model a business in the trades using educated estimates based on national averages, as well as a lot of info that I have based on my own numbers. And we're going to respect our business when we're looking at these numbers the same way that we would respect any other business that we might hire to come do trades work to our place. Now, as we move forward with this business model, we're going to have a few starting assumptions because every business is different. So here's the assumptions that we're going into this with. Number one, we're going to be a business and not a person. There is a very big difference between hiring a guy to do some stuff and hiring a business to provide a service. So we're going to treat ourselves like a business as we develop this model. We're going to pay ourselves a salary of $100,000 per year for this model. Now, if you don't feel comfortable charging that much, you certainly can charge less. And if you're in a city that has just a much higher cost of living, you certainly can charge more. But again, we're making a model here, and then you can revise this model to suit your own business needs. Number three, we're an owner-operator, and we are very rarely, if ever, hiring any subcontractors or helpers. Number four, we're doing a 60-hour work week, and this is going to be based on 30 hours on the job with tools in hand, not driving time, not shopping time, not anything else, no admin, no cleaning out the van, simply billable time on the job with tools in hand, 30 hours per week, and an additional 30 hours per week of administrative work, preparation work, shopping, materials ordering, etc. All that stuff that doesn't happen on the job with tools in hand is the other 30 hours, and we are looking for 60 hours per week of actual time that we put into this business. Number five, we are not going to take any undue risks or accept any undue liability simply to make ourselves cheaper for our client. Our goal is not to make ourselves cheaper. Our goal is to provide good value. Number six, we're going to provide ourselves with equivalent sick time and vacation days, the same as we would have at any corporate job. Number seven, we're going to provide ourselves with all other equivalent benefits that you would expect to find at any corporate job. Number eight, any additional risks or any sacrifices we make to this model are sacrifices and risks that are to our benefit, not to our client's benefit. Because we're not accepting additional risk or additional sacrifice or additional liability, as I said before, for our client just so that we can be cheaper. However, we may do that so that we can make ourselves more valuable, which is not the same as being more affordable. Number nine, we're going to operate our business out of a home office and or work vehicle, meaning we're not leasing any commercial space to run this business. And finally, number 10, we understand that the service we're offering, if we're offering a very valuable service, is both rare and valuable in today's economy, and we're going to charge appropriately for that. Now, if we were planning a much larger business model where we're the owner and then we have somebody else managing the office, somebody else managing guys in the field, and multiple guys in the field, that would be a very different business and we would have a very different business model. Even if it was just us as owner-operator plus a few full-time helpers, that would require a different business model. But what I'm pitching here is the idea that you, as an individual, can be an owner-operator of your own handyman or other trades business, and you can make at least 6 figures per year doing that, operating everything by yourself. So this is going to allow us to simplify our business model quite a bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a snapshot of a hypothetical trades business, very similar to mine, but not precisely mine. And we're going to take that snapshot based on both my numbers and lots of national averages that I've pulled off the internet. And we're going to show you what those numbers look like annually, monthly, weekly, and hourly. The goal with all of this is for you to just understand how all the numbers fit together so that you can then take my numbers and adjust them to fit your business or your business model and apply them to your own handyman or other trades business. And by the way, I do have a spreadsheet for all of these numbers that I'm going to go ahead and put in my downloadable documents. For those of you who don't know, you can download all of my documents for free. I have 0 paywalls on this channel, so you can go to the bottom of this description or the description of any of my videos, and there's going to be a link at the very bottom for you to download my business documents. Inside those business documents, you will find this very spreadsheet for the business model for a handyman or other trades business, and you can go adjust all of the numbers on my spreadsheet and update them to your business so you can figure out what you should be charging, and so you can explain to your clients if necessary. I don't suggest you do explain this, at least not very often, only to very good clients. But if you need to let somebody know why you're so expensive, this list is going to give you the answers to those questions. And without wasting any time, let's jump straight into the numbers. So we're going to start number one with business insurance. Now this is going to include general liability, professional liability, and tools and equipment. These are the three main coverage that I think you should have, and this is the coverage that I have. So business liability, that's going to cover actual accidents on the job where property or people get damaged on the job while you're working from your actions or from your business's actions. Professional liability is going to cover things like lawsuits where you're getting sued either for not completing a project on time and it costs the client money, or you've did some sort of poor workmanship and now you're having to come back around and pay for that to be remedied. And then tools and equipment coverage, pretty obvious, it's coverage on your tools and equipment. Some of the things that are going to affect the cost of your business insurance are going to be your projected revenue, whether or not the jobs you're doing require licensing and whether or not you have that licensing, your zip code, whether or not you're doing roofing, and also, believe it or not, oftentimes they're doing background checks and or credit checks on you, and that can also affect the cost of your business insurance. Now, one general rule of thumb that some people will tell you is that it's going to be somewhere in the ballpark of about 1% of your total revenue. However, guys, this can vary extremely widely. I would not go off that 1% number. But for this video and this example, we're going to assume that your business is doing about 200 grand revenue annually, which sounds like a lot, but it's not. So you're doing 200 grand revenue annually. That includes materials and labor both, and you're not doing any roofing. There's not anything scary on your credit check or your background check, and you're not in any particular zip code that has an extremely high or an extremely low cost of living. So you're an average owner-operator in an average city doing average handyman work. We're going to go ahead and call that $250 per month. And just as a small caveat, I'm paying a little over $200 a month, not quite $250, for a business with very similar numbers to that. Next is going to be workman's comp. Now, a lot of states, in fact most states, don't require you to have workman's comp as an individual owner-operator with no employees. However, a lot of companies that you try to work for will require you to have workman's comp regardless, and you can, in fact, get workman's comp insurance on only yourself. And what workman's comp covers is employees getting injured or becoming ill as a direct result of their job. And if you have this on yourself, then yes, it can actually apply to you as well. So in my experience, having actually purchased workman's comp for myself as an individual owner-operator, the average is going to be about $50 a month to cover yourself as an owner-operator. Next is going to be commercial liability insurance, and this is going to be your business's automobile insurance policy. Something you guys need to know is if you get in an accident, whether it's in a personal vehicle or a business vehicle, if you get in an accident while performing business-related stuff and you don't have commercial liability, they will not pay for that accident. So you need to be very careful, and you do need to make sure that you have commercial liability whether you're driving your personal vehicle or a business vehicle. Now, the national average for this is $149 a month for a small business. It's $259 a month average for a contractor, but we're not a contractor, so what we're going to do is we're going to just ballpark that in the middle, and we're going to call that $200 a month on average for commercial liability insurance for your business vehicle while performing business duties. Next is going to be bonding, and bonding is similar to insurance, except what it's doing is it's providing a financial guarantee to the client, so that if in whatever way, shape, or form you happen to drop the ball after they've paid you a bunch of money, it's going to be payable to the client for whatever their losses were. Most of the time, it's only licensed contractors that get bonding, but it is not a bad idea to get it for your business, and you do not have to be a contractor to get bonding for your business. And similar to the workman's comp insurance that you didn't really need, the bonding is going to be about $40 a month. That's the national average for bonding for an owner-operator for a small trades business. And moving on to disability insurance, this can be both short-term and long-term disability, and what this is paycheck protection in case you have to miss work, short-term or long-term, due to illness, injury, or disability. The benefits on these can vary wildly. They can kick in after different amounts of time. They can kick into different percentages, so do pay attention to the details. And just the same as how the benefits can vary extremely wildly, so can the price, but it's generally considered to be 1 to 3% of whatever your annual income would have been, and the coverage is typically going to cover about 80% of what you would have been paid if you were not injured and missing work. For our purposes, for our numbers today, we're going to ballpark this at $75 per month. Next, we'll dive into term life insurance. Term is the cheapest type of life insurance, so it's the type that we're probably going to be getting. We don't need to get fancy, and it's going to cover what we need it to cover, and it has no cash value, so you don't get to cash this type of life insurance out later. It only works if you actually die. And the price that you pay for this is going to vary based on your age, your gender, your health, your lifestyle, your occupation, even your hobbies, and a whole bunch of other smaller criteria. We're going to ballpark this one at $50 a month for $500,000 worth of coverage for a male aged 40 of average health who has no particular circumstances that would necessarily bring that number up or take that number down. And that just about wraps up everything that falls under the umbrella of insurance. I do want to let y'all know in the description of this video, I do have a link for Next Insurance. Next is one of the leaders in providing insurance to small businesses in the trades. It's also who I've had my business insured with for the last 4 years. They do not offer every single one of these insurances on here, but nobody does. But if you guys would like to go get a quote and especially get yourself a business owner's policy, which means combining multiple types of insurance all under one policy to get a discount, you can use my link in the description and go get yourself a quote. And while you're at it, go ahead and get a quote from a few other guys as well, so you make sure you're purchasing the best insurance for your business. Now, moving on to software and accounting, you're also going to need a CRM, which stands for Customer Relationship Management Software, but I'll be the first to tell you it is so much more than that. A CRM, a good CRM, is going to run your entire business. It's going to take care of creating jobs, invoices, and estimates, managing clients, scheduling, marketing, tracking expenses, tracking timesheets. It's basically going to be a one-stop shop for everything except QuickBooks, which we'll move on to next. And by the way, the CRM that I started my business with and the CRM that I have grown my business with and that I have been grateful to have ever since I've had my business has been Jobber. Jobber is absolutely, hands down, without argument, the leader in the industry right now for home service-based trades business of our size and medium size as well. And guys, they do literally everything. There is a link in the description here also for a free 14-day trial of Jobber that's going to come with a 20% discount for the first 6 months. That's my exclusive discount if you use my link to go get your free trial of Jobber. And by the way, I do webinars pretty much every weekend to show you my workflow within the Jobber software, where I show you how I create jobs, how I schedule jobs, how I manage my invoices, how I write estimates, etc. And those are all free. Again, 0 paywalls on this channel, so you can go to the description and look for my next webinar and get signed up for that as well if you'd like to. Now, the price for Jobber can range anywhere currently from $27 per month all the way up through $350 per month. There are multiple tiers and multiple levels, but I think if we were to ballpark this at $199 or just call it $200, if we can ballpark this at $199, that's at least going to get you a really good Connect plan that's going to have all the features you need to really grow your business fast. Next, as we were just talking about, is going to be QuickBooks with payroll. Now, the reason for QuickBooks specifically is just simply because that's what everybody uses. It just kind of is the industry standard, and it works. I use it with my business as well, and it just works. However, I do have mine with payroll. The reason it's with payroll is because I found out that when you get above, let's say about 65 grand a year, that you're going to pay yourself. It behooves you to become an S-Corp, and to become an S-Corp, you have to be an LLC, and when you're an LLC, you have to put yourself on payroll like a W-2 employee, where you have a regular paycheck coming in throughout the year, what they call a fair salary. So to put yourself on payroll, you're going to need a payroll provider, and since I'm already with QuickBooks, I simply upgraded my QuickBooks to QuickBooks with payroll, and that's going for about $85 a month currently is what I'm paying for that. However, they have sales all the time. I'm sure you can get in much cheaper than that, but you'll just have to go look. And by the way, yes, as with everything, I do have a link in the description for QuickBooks with payroll too. Because I have no paywalls on this channel, I provide all this information for free, and I find the right sponsors that are ethical and that I believe in and whose products I actually use to sponsor this channel. Next is going to be an accountant. You need an accountant. You're not an accountant. If you are, you know you are, and you know you don't need one. But if you're not sure, you need an accountant. These guys are professionals at making sure that you keep as much of your money in your pocket as possible. Are they expensive? Yes. but they cost less than they save. That's the whole point. They'll cost maybe $1,600 a year in order to file your LLC's taxes, plus additional fees that they might be charging you monthly if you want them to go ahead and just categorize everything month by month as you go, acting somewhat like a bookkeeper. So even if we ballpark this at $200 per month, which is going to be $2,400 per year, although that may sound expensive, when they save you $18,000 this year, or even just $6,000 this year, that $2,400 that you pay them is just easy money to give away in exchange for what you're getting in return. So we're going to go ahead and ballpark it at about $200 a month for an accountant, but just know that can be much cheaper, and if you want an even better one, you can pay much more as well, but $200 a month will be the number we use. Next is going to be website and email hosting, and by the way, just so you know, real businesses have websites. They have professional looking websites. That's just the way the world works. If you're going to do business with a business and you try to go to their website and they either don't have one or it looks like a high school kid made it, you're not going to look at them as a professional business. Real businesses have real websites. They don't even have to be anything fancy, and they can be AI generated. I use Wix for my website. By the way, I have a link for Wix in the description too, and I have a video showing you how to use Wix. I think it's the easiest website builder that you can use. It will generate it using AI right away, and the editing process is you just click on a picture and then click a button to change that picture by uploading whatever picture you want there. Click on the text, click edit, change the text so it says what you want it to say, but you're going to get a really professional website using Wix, and it's easy enough that a handyman can use it. And currently my website with email hosting, so that my email address ends with my businessname.com instead of gmail.com or yahoo.com or hotmail.com. My email address ends with mybusinessname.com. I'm currently paying for the website hosting and the email hosting $45 per month. Now, moving more out of the software side and into the tools and materials side is going to be simple replacement of tools, blades, bits, etc. This is going to be saw blades, this is going to be drill bits, paddle bits, hole saws. Every now and then one of your tools is going to go bad, you're going to have to replace it. Every now and then your batteries are going to get weak and you're going to have to buy some new batteries. So simply for replacement of things that get old and stop working, we're just going to ballpark that at about $100 a month, and where I'm getting that number from is simply that is my number that I have found through my own personal experience. That's about the rate of money that I burn through monthly just for bits, blades, and replacement batteries and replacement tools. I don't really need to replace a lot, and we do have a budget coming up for new tool investments. And as I just mentioned, now we're at the category for new tool and equipment investment. Your business deserves to grow and succeed just like any other business, and one of the things that's going to take is getting more efficient and gaining more capabilities. And to do this, you're going to need equipment. You're going to need pressure washers, you're going to need maybe table saws so you can do more woodworking, or maybe you're doing a whole lot of clogged toilets and you're going to need some sort of roto-rooter type equipment. And the budget that I've set aside for this is going to be about $1,200 a year or $100 per month. Moving on to even more expensive equipment, let's talk about our vehicles, guys. Now, I do not suggest that you go and buy yourself a new vehicle. I don't even suggest that you go finance a used vehicle. I'm actually not a fan of debt, generally speaking, other than when you're purchasing your house. But every one of us, whether we're purchasing something new, purchasing something used, or whether we're just simply using what we already own, we are going through a certain amount of value worth of vehicle monthly. That can be in the form of a monthly payment, or that's in the form of depreciating the value of our current vehicle. And the number I'm going to assign to this, by the way, is a very low number compared to the national average, but I'm going to call this $400 a month. So either we're talking about a $400 a month vehicle payment, or you're using the truck that you already have, but you are devaluing that truck by $400 per month every month by the mileage that you're putting on it and just all the abuse you're doing to it while doing a lot of construction out of that truck. Now, the next thing is going to be your home office. And yes, this is an actual expense that you have. You may already have your home and your office may have already been an office, but when you set this aside for a business, you've now taken away a chunk of your house that could have been used for anything and devoted it purely to business purposes. So it's now using electricity, it's using gas, it's using the AC when the AC's on, it's using the property taxes that you're paying on your house. So there's two ways to figure this number. The IRS has a very standard way, which is just, long story short, going to tell you $125 a month. or you can use what's called the actual cost method. And the actual cost method is going to be to prorate your bills for your house, all the expenses it takes to maintain your house, to prorate that based on the actual square footage, the percentage of square footage that your office takes out of your house. And when you run those numbers, the national average is actually $425 per month. So what we're going to do is we're just going to split the difference and call it $275 per month. That's what it's costing you or me to have a home office set up in their house. Moving on to uniforms. This is going to be your shirts, your pants, your boots, your socks, your hat, your jacket, all of the things that you go through, all the clothing that you're going to specifically destroy throughout the year and have to replace because you're doing some very hard, very manly work in the construction trades. Now, I've merely done a ballpark on this. Some people spend way too much money on clothing, and some people like me don't spend enough. I actually buy all of my clothing at Goodwill. This shirt right here comes from Goodwill. I'm just a Goodwill kind of person. Don't like wasting money on new clothes. However, if you're going to have branded gear for your business, and if you want to show up looking like a professional, and if you're not shopping at Goodwill, I think $1,200 a year is a fairly reasonable estimate for how much money you need to spend per year to look like a professional as a business owner on the job. And now keep in mind, guys, all of these are estimates. Everything we're doing through this entire exercise, these are hypothetical estimates of reasonable numbers. Your job when this is all said and done is going to be to go through and see which of these numbers you can bring down without too much sacrifice or hardship, and maybe some of them have to come up. But the idea is just to learn how to ballpark these numbers and start coming up with your business model. So next on the list is going to be trash and or garbage disposal. As you're doing these jobs, you're going to have a lot of waste that you need to remove, and you can't throw it all in the tenant's trash can. So you're going to have a way to get rid of this stuff. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to assume that if you have a really large quantity of trash from one particular job, you're going to charge for that individually on that job, and you're going to make a dump run so you don't have to bring any of it home. But for all the normal day-to-day stuff, what I've done is I've got 2 extra trash cans in my front yard. The big giant ones that the trash company comes and picks up, I've got 2 of those extra in my front yard. So I've got 2 for my house and 2 for the business, and I fill them up consistently, and that costs me about $150 a month. Now, if you want a dumpster, if you need a dumpster, that can be $500 or more per month, or maybe you need 1 extra trash can, or maybe you need nothing. So depending on what your situation is, your numbers are going to change, but I feel like it's safe to just go ahead and estimate $150 a month for your business to remove its debris. Real quick one next is office supplies, $25. We're just talking about printer paper, ink, stuff like that. Not a huge expense, so I'm going to call that $25 a month. Now, the next one we're going to talk about is one that a lot of you may not be comfortable charging for, but again, we're going to treat ourselves with the same respect that any corporation should treat its employees with, which is not very much these days. But we need a retirement account, right? We can't just be working our bodies to the bone, get to 70 years old where we can't move anymore and have no retirement set up. So for our retirement account, we're going to go off a lot of national averages, and the national average happens to be about 12% of income would go into a retirement account. We're assuming that we're trying to pay ourselves about $100,000 per year, so 12% of that income would be $12,000 per year or $1,000 per month. Just so you guys know, the way that I do mine is I have a Roth IRA set up through Robinhood. I do not have any affiliation with Robinhood, therefore I do not have any links for you, although hopefully someday I will because I do like the product they have. But the great thing with Robinhood is you can set up your own retirement account, Roth IRA, and then you can dictate where your money goes. And this may not be smart of me, but I'm a risk taker and I believe in Tesla. So right now I have all of my retirement, all of it, going straight into Tesla stock for my Roth IRA, but you can set yours up however you want. You can pick the stocks, you can just pick some regular EFTs, you can do some safe funds as well if you'd like to, but that's how I do mine, and I'm budgeting for you guys for this hypothetical. I'm budgeting $1,000 per month to go into our retirement. Next, health insurance. Again, we're going to treat ourselves with the same respect and assume that we deserve whatever a normal corporate employee would deserve. And for me, health insurance for my family, and I'll be honest with you, I have picked amazing health insurance. My family has great health insurance that I pay for out of my pocket with my own bare hands as a handyman. And I pay $2,000 per month for that health insurance, and my family is absolutely worth it. And any client who doesn't want to pay my fees because they don't think I should have great health insurance is not a client that I want to have. Now, one of the more variable ones, this isn't going to be the same across the board, so I'm going to go with my numbers because I can't find any good national averages. But gasoline or diesel, putting fuel in your work vehicle. So I'm going to go off of my numbers that I've actually seen day by day by day over the years. And that average for me is going to be $30 per day times 5 days per week times 4.3 weeks per month, which is just how you go from weeks to month when you're working numbers. So $30 a day, 5 days a week, 4.3 weeks per month is going to bring us to $645 worth of gasoline per month going into our work vehicle. And to tell you the truth, that is pretty accurate to what I have seen. Yes, the price of gas rises, the price of gas falls, and how busy we are and how much we drive rises, and that number also falls. But I'm going to go ahead and go with my numbers for this scenario, which is $645 per month for gasoline. And for vehicle maintenance, this one is also going to vary wildly, so I'm just going to ballpark this one as well at $100 per month. Could be dramatically more if you're very unlucky, and it could be dramatically less if you're very lucky. Moving on to marketing, I want to make something super clear to you guys. If you watch my channel, you'll see that I promote working for property managers, and one of the big benefits of working for property managers is that I put no money into marketing. I have had my current client base for years now. They're property managers, they have a bottomless supply of work. They pay a premium because I provide them with a premium service by taking maintenance completely off of their plate. So I spend $0 per month on marketing. However, I do understand most of you are going to spend money on marketing. So going off of my experience, while having this YouTube channel and having talked to dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of y'all, about what you're spending on marketing, most of you are finding the most luck by going on to Google Ads and placing Google Ads for your handyman business, and you're setting your budgets between $200 to $300 a month, and that's keeping your phone ringing just enough to stay busy all month. So I'm just going to go ahead and ballpark a marketing budget for you of $250 per month. Next, this is also a controversial one, but it's going to be the owner's actual paycheck, what you're paying yourself. That is overhead for your business. A business needs to pay its employee. You are its employee. In fact, you're its only employee, and you're going to pay yourself $100,000 a year, which comes out to roughly $8,333 per month. That is 100% negotiable. If you think that you're happy making 50 grand a year, you pay yourself 50 a year. And if you're living in LA, you pay yourself 200 grand a year. But this is where you set that number, and for 100 grand for a six-figure business where you're getting paid six figures, not the business, but you personally get your 6 figures per year, it's going to be $8,333 per month. Now, by the time I make this video and do my editing, maybe I'll have adjusted a couple of these numbers or made one or two little mistakes, but the numbers I have at this moment show us at $192,096 annually, $16,008 monthly, $3,697 weekly, or $123 hourly. However, we're not done because we did not include professional licensing renewal, business licensing renewal, warranty work, bad debt, meaning people who didn't pay us, interest payments, bank fees, accidents, refunds, business taxes, sales taxes if you're in a state that's going to charge you sales taxes. We didn't include any paid time off such as vacation days or sick days, or a profit margin for our business. So here's what we're going to do. Most people in the United States, in corporate America, their PTO comes out to about 8% of the total hours that they work throughout the course of the year. So 8% for PTO. Most businesses, the lowest profit margin you ever want to plan any business for is 2 or 3%. And that's going to be with a very, very, very high amount of capital going into a very solid business. It's going to run on tight margins in a competitive industry. That is not what you're doing. The average for a business for profit is anywhere from 8 to 12%. So we're even going to go ahead and take that down, and we're going to call that 8% as well. And again, I may have the numbers different by the time I edit these slides, but here's what we're going to do. Is for profit and for our PTO and for all of these other tiny things. Maybe you need to pay $120 a year to renew a license here and there. You're going to take a little bit of continuing education. You have 1 or 2 jobs where somebody doesn't pay, small jobs where they don't pay. What we're going to do is we're going to lump all this together, and we're going to say, let's add 20% to our current numbers. Adding 20% is at least going to cover 8%, number one, for the PTO, and 8%, number two, for just profit in general. That brings us to 16. That leaves that other 4% for whatever else we want to apply it to. So when we add that 20% to the numbers that we previously had, that now brings us up to an annual overhead, including our paychecks and taxes and everything, of $230,515, a monthly of $19,209, a weekly of $4,436, and an hourly of $147.88. So what do we do with these numbers, and what do these numbers actually mean? Because these aren't your numbers, and these aren't even my numbers. These are hypothetical numbers. What we're going to do is hopefully you're going to go download the spreadsheet that I gave you so you can actually start adjusting these numbers for your current business or for the business that you're trying to start. But what you're going to do is you're going to go through number by number and you're going to figure out where your business stands on these numbers, and you're going to start adjusting them bit by bit. The goal is not necessarily to charge this much money. You don't have to be charging $148 an hour in order to get by. The idea here is more to show you that these are all reasonable and legitimate numbers for any proper business to have, which means that if you're charging $148 an hour, you're not gouging anybody if this money is actually going to where we say it's going to. And as a perfect example, my business is definitely over $100 an hour, but I highly doubt that it's much over $125 an hour. So I'm not even at the 148. And there's multiple reasons for that. My numbers don't match all of these numbers. There are things that I spend, for example, on clothing. I buy all my clothes at Goodwill, so I spend less on that. Therefore, I can pass that savings on to my client. Now, I do want to give you one caveat. We're not going to try to pass savings on to clients, as I said in the beginning, by being less safe or by taking on additional liability or by in any way, shape, or form harming ourselves and our health. But what we are going to do is we're going to come up with honest, legitimate numbers for our business, and then we're going to charge our clients for our services based on those honest numbers. One of the big things that you might be adjusting is your salary. Like I said, if you're living in LA, you probably need to pay yourself $200 a year just to get by. And if you're living in a super rural area in Mississippi, you may be a king at making 60 grand a year, so you don't need to charge quite as much. But the biggest thing I want you to remember is that a business is a living, breathing thing. Your business is so dynamic. As the environment changes, as the market changes, as you change, as your clients change, everything is always changing, and all of your numbers are always going to be adjusting. And what it's going to be your job to do is to observe exactly what the changes are, predict future changes, and predict how you need to be reacting to these changes. And then you need to act on those predictions, and you need to actually make changes to your business in real time as you go and measure those results. And once you've measured those results, you need to still be continuously observing, predicting, acting, and measuring. And you just do this over and over again. This is actually how you run a small trades business like mine. At least that's how you run it successfully. So before we go, I do want to give you one last reminder. I have 0 paywalls on this channel. I do not ever want you guys' money. I want your money to go to your family and your business, and it's my job to find reliable, ethical, moral, good sponsors for this channel whose products and services I actually utilize and or believe in, and that's what I've done. So if you want to help this channel out, if you want me to be able to make more content like this, please go to the description and just simply utilize the links that I have for the products and services that you're already considering purchasing. If you can do that for me, it's going to help me immensely, and it's going to make sure I can continue to put out videos like this. And I also want you to know that I'm available to you guys on a very personal level. There are multiple ways for you to ask me questions and get answers. And number one is going to be, I answer all the comments. Test it. Leave a comment. I promise you I'm going to be answering, and I'm not just going to be answering with something generic. You send me a real question, I'm going to send you a real answer. Number two, you can always email me at bulletproofhandymanbusiness@gmail.com. I do answer every single email. Not always same day. In fact, not usually same day. It can take me up to a week, maybe even 2 to get to them, but I make sure to sit down every few days and go through my email and reply to every single email that I receive from y'all. And by the way, if you've sent an email and not gotten a reply, please resend that email to me. It's not on purpose. Sometimes I do miss 1 or 2, but you guys can always email me at bulletproofhandymanbusiness@gmail.com, and I will email you back. The next way to get access to me is going to be through my weekly webinars. I generally host them every Saturday. I take you through my Jobber workflow and show you how I organize my business with Jobber. I show you how I create jobs, how I create invoices, and how I create estimates. I also open up the floor to any other Jobber questions, and once we're done with all the Jobber questions, I open up the floor to just any questions that anybody wants to ask. So it's almost like a one-on-one coaching. And by the way, there's rarely more than like 3 to 4 people in these webinars. So you are going to get some more personalized attention from me if you go that route. And then finally, if you really want some attention and really want to pick my brain, or if you just like the outdoors, I put together a lot of camping trips for this channel, and I get quite a few of them sponsored so that you can just simply show up. I've set up the tents, I've set up the gear, I've set everything up for you. I bring all the food, I pay for all the food, I cook all the food, I clean up all the mess, I break down the camps, and all you've got to do is show up with your family and your loved ones and just enjoy a nice weekend camping. In fact, our next one is February 7th, and that's actually going to be in a cabin. There aren't even going to be tents involved, so we're going to be indoors with some nice heating and some actual beds. We're going to be right down the road from Tombstone, Arizona, so on Saturday we'll be taking a little trip into Tombstone and just doing some touristy stuff, maybe getting some good Mexican food while we're there. But if you guys want to sign up for that, there's links in the descriptions of all my videos for all of my campouts when I get them scheduled. And like I said, the next one's February 7th. There's going to be more after that. There's also the Handyman Camping Convention, which I hosted last year for the first time. We'll be doing the second annual one this year. That is also camping based. Although you don't have to camp, you can get a hotel somewhere else and just drive out for the day during the day if you'd like. But this is the big one of the year for all of us to come together as tradesmen and just share stories, swap hints and tips and tricks and hacks and whatnot. And the Handyman Camping Convention this year is going to be the weekend that starts on Friday the 13th, which a lot of people hate, but to me that number's good luck. So Friday the 13th in June, we're going to be doing the Handyman Camping Convention this year. Otherwise, I love you guys. I hope you're out there killing it, and I'll see you on the next one.